Welcome into another edition of WRAL Triangle and Two. I'm Mark Bergin. He's Luis Fernandez. Luis, I am very, very jealous of you. Some people might think there's not a lot of sports going on. We get two teams from the United Kingdom in our backyard in Chapel Hill, and you get to be boots on the ground this week when Chelsea takes on Wrexham in Chapel Hill.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. I'm gonna be there on Wednesday. Also, we're doing some coverage of the training that they have open to the media on Tuesday as well for both Chelsea and Wrexham. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. I mean, it's really, I think, rare that a place like Chapel Hill gets an opportunity to host two clubs like this. So I'm pumped. Should be some good football before actual football starts happening later on this season.
One thing I wanted to ask you, Luis, you are a UNC alum. Did you ever have anything like this, whether it was at Kenan Stadium or elsewhere, to say a sporting event in a non-traditional setting during your undergraduate years at UNC?
You know, I'm trying to think, and I don't think so. Like, truly, I feel like this was one of the, like, this is a very rare occurrence. I mean, there are plenty of things that kind of get thrown into the mix from like events perspectives, right? Like concerts and things like that. But no, this feels a bit rare. So it's very exciting for the whole, triangle area, because it's close enough. And I'm sure there are going to be a lot of people who are coming from outside of North Carolina to watch some of their teams, like, Chelsea and Wrexham both going on this US tour, essentially getting some different teams. And this is the beginning of this tour for both Chelsea and Wrexham. So it's going to be bang, get this thing started well in Kenan Stadium.
I am in favor, Luis, of sporting events in non-traditional settings. We saw the stadium series in Raleigh at Carter Finley Stadium with the Carolina Hurricanes in hockey. I know with the Tar Heels back in the day, they played Michigan State in hoops on an aircraft carrier. So sign me up for more of those kind of events to help just get the casual fan involved. And like, at least with Chelsea, a team that plays in the English Premier League, a lot of turnover on Chelsea's roster, which we'll get to in a second. But Chelsea is accustomed to competing for the top of the English Premier League with the Manchester Uniteds of the world, the Man Cities of the world, traditionally. Now, Chelsea's had a lot of turnover on the roster, but that's the caliber of talent that you could potentially see this Wednesday, again, right in our backyard. And how exciting is that?
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be interesting to see Chelsea, at least from what I've seen so far here. And this is, Monday, July 17th, right afternoon. They haven't announced what their roster is going to look like for this tour. We'll see what ends up being there. But it's going to be exciting because, Chelsea's one of those teams that normally competes, at the top of the table, but they found themselves at the bottom of the EPL, or near the bottom of the EPL this past season. And Wrexham is, in different divisions, right? This just like on paper, you're like, okay, Chelsea should be able to take care of Wrexham here. It's a friendly. It's not like, supposed to be that serious of a match, but at the same time, it's fun because of the popularity we've seen with Wrexham, especially in the States with the documentary that came out, Ryan Reynolds and co, what they've been able to do in taking that, what's been a proud program and essentially kind of turn them around so quickly. It's going to be fun. I mean, I think Chelsea, even if it's not their A team, I think Chelsea should be able to take care of business against Wrexham. But hopefully you just see exciting football. I think that's all anyone who's going to the game hopes to see. And I think that's what, the whole reason why this got set up in the first place, I think, was the opportunity just to get some different events involved. Kind of similar, like you said, to the stadium series with the NHL in Raleigh earlier this year.
You mentioned the actor Ryan Reynolds, who's in the front office, one of the owners of Wrexham. Let me manifest this now, Luis, whether it's Top of the Hill or if you have another favorite Chapel Hill establishment. I think we see him in Chapel Hill. I'm going to manifest this now. We're recording this Monday, July the 17th. But choose your venue. We see Ryan Reynolds, an A-list movie star, in our backyard here, Luis.
Well, so this is actually funny. This has been the speculation, right? Oh man, what's Rob from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, his co-owner, Rob how do we say his last name wrong? McElhenney. Make
You got it right. You just say it quickly. You just say
okay,
it.
sure.
But the movie star, the actor from Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yes. Him and Ryan Reynolds do I think the hope has been that they'll be here. No idea if they will. Listen, you do have the writer strike going on in Hollywood right now. I know. So my understanding is that Ryan Reynolds was filming for Deadpool 3. I saw one of those like little screenshots come out, him and Wolverine and kind of like the classic getup. But that was stopped. Filming was stopped for that.
He needs something to do.
He needs something to do. All I'm saying, swing by, come on down.
I want to mention Chelsea's roster really quickly, Lewis, and we will move on. So looking at the roster, Thiago Silva, the center back, plays on the Brazilian national team. And then Christian Pulisic, who American soccer fans might know, probably the best player on the U.S. men's national team. If they're out there on Wednesday, keep an eye on both of those players. Again, we're not sure if they'll actually play, but the possibility of them playing, and what I would say to this as well, when you're playing in the Premier League, the backups on these clubs are like better than pretty much any team in the MLS. So even if it is the backups for Chelsea, a team that has some turnover, you might not know who these players are now, but give it a few years and it's like, oh wow, yeah, they were right here, and you had the opportunity to see them. But those are the two that stick out to me on Chelsea's roster.
It's Chelsea, right? It's an EPL known commodity for long time, and so you're going to get talented players no matter what, talented footballers out there on the pitch. I'm just curious to see kind of how it all like the changes they make, how it's all set up and everything. I think it's going to be a really fun environment at Kenan. Do you know if the game is sold out right now? I'm not sure. I don't know if I know if it is or not, but
I'd imagine that it is, Lewis. Again, this will be Wednesday at 7:30 as well. It's going to be a hot ticketed town, no doubt about that. No doubt about that.
It'll be fun.
Really quickly, want to show you. I had the opportunity to tour Stamford Bridge about a decade ago, Lewis, and they weren't in season, but this is where Chelsea plays in London. And I've just never seen anything quite like it. We got to tour the locker room, got to see star player Didier Drogba's locker room. He was the star striker for Chelsea back in the day. And look at your boy here, at the podium. It's a wonderful time, Lewis. They were not in season, which is why we toured Stamford Bridge, but fond memories of being across the pond. And soccer, as they call it, football in Europe, it's like religion there.
I think what I'm going to do this, how old are you in this picture, by the way?
Oh, I'm a young man here. I think I'm 18 years old.
Wow. Look at that. That's funny. I think what I'm going to try and do this college football season, and really just NFL football season and all that stuff is try and sneak in soccer/football terms in there. I'm gonna try and call like some different NFL and college players like footballers throughout the course of the year and to see what people think. Some of the terminology is great, not gonna lie. But it's cool to see just having these different brands coming to Kenan Stadium. It's not as big of a deal personally as it would be for like the Stadium Series, just like locally and how it all is intertwined. But it's July. It's going to be July 19th when the match actually happens. Not a whole lot going on at that time. And so it's just, I think it's a really fun, cool opportunity for sports in the Triangle.
All right, let's keep it with soccer. We got the World Cup starting this week. So tournament getting underway on the 20th. The U.S. women's national team starts on the 21st against Vietnam. The U.S. women's national team having won the previous two World Cups. Lewis, where do you want to start with this? Because there's a lot to unpack with a lot of excitement with the U.S. women's national team. But where do you want to start here? And we'll go from there because there's a lot of different angles we want to go to.
Let's start with the women's national team in general, and then we can move into like the more local ties, if you will.
Okay. Let me start here. I know a lot's going to be made of Megan Rapinoe's final World Cup with the team. Both she, Alex Morgan, Kelly O'Hara, they're going to be playing in their fourth World Cup.
Wow.
So a lot of experience there for Julie Ertz and Alyssa not her. It'll be their third World Cup. So a lot of experience with this roster. But what I want to focus on, Lewis, Alyssa Thompson at 18 years old, just the fourth teenager to be named to the United States World Cup team. First teenager and the youngest women's soccer player in the tournament since 1995. She was the top overall pick in the NWSL draft. We're talking about the next generation of star soccer players for our country. Alyssa Thompson, keep an eye on her, and I can't wait to see what she can do on the pitch, again, at 18 years old.
Trinity Rodman, too. Dennis Rodman's daughter is going to be really cool to see. 21 years old. She's someone who has already been is incredibly talented and has shown that ability in the NWSL. I'm excited to see what Trinity Rodman can do as well on the national team in the World Cup. It's going to be, there's definitely a bit of a youth movement. Some of that I think is because of injuries that have occurred over the past few months. I mean, even someone like Julie Ertz coming back, who I believe it was like 9 months ago that she had a child. And so, be able to come back that quickly from it.
Unbelievable.
And I mean, it's ridiculous. And so because of those injuries, I think we're going to see a lot more of youth with the women's national team in the World Cup in general. And it's what that does is the U.S. has won the past 2 women's World Cups. So huge target on their back, obviously. And the rest of the world is getting better in terms of women's soccer. And with injuries and things, I think it just kind of tightens the gap a little bit and puts the women's national team in just a little bit more of a precarious situation. But that's just, when you win the past 2, like, you're going to have a lot of pressure on you. Yeah. You're going to have a lot of expectations. It's going to be exciting. I love the men's World Cup, the women's World Cup. Both are just phenomenal sporting products, and I can't wait for things to get started later this week.
Yes. And so another mom I want to talk about on this team too, with local ties, Crystal Dunn, who played at North Carolina. She just gave birth to her son 14 months ago. And so it's like one thing to be like, okay, yeah, she's playing soccer again. No, she's playing for the national team. And so she's one of 3 players with local ties, Lewis. The other 2 being Emily Fox, who also played at UNC, and then North Carolina Courage goalkeeper Casey Murphy as well. So we got some local ties, 3 of the 23 women here, to where it's just like women you've seen play here in the triangle in our backyard, if you will. So you see yet again where I know we had the soccer tournament earlier this year. This week we've got Chelsea versus Wrexham at Kenan Memorial Stadium, just showing the importance of soccer in the state of North Carolina.
Well, you know what Dean Smith said way back in the day. UNC is not a basketball school. It is a women's soccer school. And UNC has not won a national title in women's soccer in quite some time, but they still have that, massive lead in terms of titles. And Crystal Dunn and Emily Fox are prime examples of some of the best that UNC has. The 2 of them are probably going to be playing together a lot, which is going to be fascinating to watch. Casey Murphy with the NC Courage is going to be the backup goaltender. Goalkeeper for the U.S. women's national team. So cool to see her get involved as well. So you got some of those major U.S. women's national team ties, right? But there are also local players who are playing for different teams in general, right? Denise O'Sullivan, who is the NC Courage's captain. She is a part of the Irish team, making their first women's World Cup appearance ever. Keep an eye out for her because the Irish team, like I said, it's their first women's World Cup appearance ever. They are playing Australia, so one of the host countries, because it's Australia and New Zealand. They're playing Australia on July 20th, like one of the first, if not the first matches in the entire Women's World Cup. And then she actually got hurt in a friendly. It was a warm-up match between Ireland and Colombia that got called off after like 20 some odd minutes because it was apparently too rough, essentially. There was concern that she had broken her shin or fractured her shin in some way. She was taken to the hospital. And fortunately, it's been determined that she did not fracture. After x-rays and CT scans, it was determined that she did not fracture her shin, which is good. But her availability is still a little bit up in the air. She would be a massive piece for the Irish national team. So keep an eye out for her. And then we got a viewer email pointing this out to us. Sophia Harrison, she played at Slippery Rock, Slippery Rock in college. She apparently lives in Fuquay now and is a member of the Philippines national team. And then you also have the courageous Caroline. She is a member of the Brazilian national team, and she's been incredibly impressive as well. So it's fun because, right? I mean, I know you and I are not, the world's biggest soccer experts or anything like that, but
we are now, Lewis.
We are now, because it's fun to see how this area kind of can shapeshift a bit when needed, and just a reminder of having a NWSL team in the area, a USL team, the continuing growth of the youth soccer dynamic in the area as well. You have Charlotte FC, obviously, with MLS up over in Charlotte. I don't know. It's fun, especially when you get a chance to kind of mix it up a little bit and see, all the incredibly talented women's soccer players that are from North Carolina and from this area.
That Charlotte atmosphere, Lewis, just looks like a raucous atmosphere.
Yeah, it looks
in
like
the
fun.
best way.
It looks
the
like
best
fun.
way. So the Women's World Cup gets started Thursday. You can watch on Fox 50. U.S. Women's National Team, they get underway Friday. So, again, against Vietnam, they'll open the tournament. Lewis, this is going to be awesome to watch. And it provides a great void for us as well as we wait between now and the start of football season, American football, if you will. But keeping in non-traditional sports, Lewis, Wimbledon this weekend was fantastic. Like, it was wonderful. Sunday wrapping up, Alcaraz taking care of Djokovic in the final. Alcaraz, 20 years old, signaling of a new era in tennis because the Joker, Rafael Nadal, and help me out here, Roger Federer, kind of signaling a new era. I did not realize Novak Djokovic, 36 years old. He hadn't lost in center court at Wimbledon in more than a decade, Lewis. So quite a run it's been for the Joker. But Alcaraz being able to rally back after losing that first set. And then for me, again, as a casual fan, I knew that the stakes of this was in that fifth set. The Novak Djokovic racket smash in the fifth set, the fury of it. It's just like, it showed the level of intensity on Sunday and what capped off what's been a terrific Wimbledon tournament, both men's and women's.
Yeah, I mean, when I think it too, it's like the context of Djokovic's Grand Slam totals and the history involved with him and Federer and all of that, and then you finally you have this kind of changing of the guard a bit, not entirely. Like, I mean, Djokovic had a quote earlier in the tournament that he said, he feels like 36 is the new 26. Like, Novak Djokovic is not going anywhere. Like, just to make that entirely clear. But I saw the graphic where it was, I think, in however many years it's been, the past only four men have won the men's Wimbledon, Grand Slam, and it was Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, and Andy Murray. And so to have someone new, someone so young coming in is awesome. Nike did not miss. They were ready to go with the ads already to make sure, talking about don't be a part of an old era, create a new era, all this stuff where I'm scrolling Instagram and I see the ads. I'm like, oh man, that's so cool. That's hype. I need to play tennis. So now that's just, I mean, that's what Nike does. But no, it's fantastic to see the changing of the guard a bit, to see new players coming in and making the case for why they deserve to be considered amongst the best in the world.
Sunday's final, Lewis, came down to that second set where Djokovic wins the first set. And it's like, okay, is he going to do it yet again? He has 23 Grand Slam titles, and it's an 85-minute second set. And Alcaraz rallying back. And that, to me, something changed there at that moment in the match on Sunday. But I was texting my buddies, and it's just listen, if you haven't already, flip on the Wimbledon final and thank me later.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I want to see if he continues the success, because last year Alcaraz winning the US Open. So is it a changing of the guard? How long can Djokovic hold off? Again, someone who's now 20 years old. But Djokovic hasn't really had that like I think about it, I guess, from this standpoint, Federer and Nadal had each other. How many Grand Slams do they prevent each other from winning in the rivalry those two had? Djokovic now has this young gun to deal with, to where I hope this isn't the last time we see them compete against one another, let alone in a final, 1 versus 2 in the world. I can't wait to see where this goes. Now, from the women's standpoint too, Marketa Vandrousova of the Czech Republic was not ranked. She was a heavy underdog on Saturday and wins consecutive sets 6-4, 6-4. And a lefty, someone who's 24 years old, someone who has a long career ahead of her in her own right as well, Lewis.
Yes. And it's, it's just, for so long, we've seen tennis dominated by the same players. And it's
Serena,
it's awesome.
Federer, Nadal. I mean, it's just like it's really, and then like here and there you get players that win it, but it's like by and large, they're the ones sharing all the Grand Slams. Lewis, I'm sorry, continue. But
no, I mean,
wrong.
that's exactly what it is. It's, you've seen these generational talents come through. And so whenever you see generational talents come through and then they come and go, you have like the players like Serena, you have the players like Nadal who are like Federer, who are, they've done their thing and now they're done. The question is always who's going to fill the gap. What's that sport going to even look like? And obviously Djokovic is, one of those generational people, and he's not going anywhere anytime soon. But it's still, it's exciting. It's exciting to watch a new class of players come through the tennis world.
Lewis, I think we did it. We're going to wrap up here on WRAL Triangle and Two, talking about sports that are a little bit more non-traditional for us. Enjoy Wednesday. I want to tease ahead to the Women's World Cup. I will have a long-form piece coming out on WRALSportsFan.com. Everything you need to know, how to watch, players to watch. Again, get into more detail about Megan Rapinoe's final tournament at the age of 38 years old. A lot of different angles for the U.S. women's national team. So that'll be out later this week on WRALSportsFan.com. Is there anything else you need to plug before we wrap up here?
We'll have training coverage on Tuesday for that Chelsea Wrexham match. And then on Wednesday, the WRAL sports team will have you covered in terms of coverage of the actual friendly itself. So stay tuned for all of that. We'll have that up on TV as well as up online on WRALSportsFan.com.
For Luis Fernandez, I'm Mark Bergin. Thanks so much for watching WRAL Triangle and Two. We'll see you next week. Until then, take care. So long, everybody.